Yes, ma'am.
about the church where Millie's Coffee Shop is,
Yes.
to do for your youth drop-in center, for gang prevention, you know, talking about healthy stuff, keeping kids out of trouble, you know, and then, you know, my idea was for us, for the kids to take over the coffee shop and the bakery and use it as a learning center for kids to have a way to learn how to keep a job, run a coffee shop, keep it going. So I'm all for your thing. If you start off at the ABC Center in Paris, which isn't in Ward 3, but I'm all for to get it going. But I would love to see us either do a multi-year lease on that building or buy that building. And if we bought that building, we would have to get outside money. We'd have to get the Broncos, Nuggets,
That's the
Cronkies.
The thing about that is that we have a limited amount of money right now to be able to launch what I want to do. I mean, if we wanted to do more, we would take some fundraising. One of the things I'm trying to do is to not utilize as least amount of city resources. The resources that we're using for that have already been allocated prior. So they were money that we got from the Denver Broncos, so I have money from them and a couple others, so it's not coming out of the general fund.
So we're not using city money,
No.
we're using other money, which is great.
But the thing is that, you know, to actually build, I've already looked at trying to build that. It's gonna take a lot of money. I mean, you're talking, for what I think should be, you're looking at a 40,000 square foot facility, you're probably looking at a proximity of 40 to 50 million just to build it. And then you gotta have the paying of people to have all that stuff inside, so there again, it's a lot of money. I've been having conversations. What I'm trying to do is to launch something to start. It's not the end all, but I think we have to start somewhere. And then what I want to do from that center, wherever we started at, is to gather data from youth, from the programs, from everything, so that we can see, is it making a dent in our communities? Are we seeing less issues and concerns? That's what I want to gather first. And then from that, then we can replicate that, right? We can add to that, we can build more in others. Because it's not going to be, no matter where we put it, it's not going to serve all the youth in our city. So the key is we'd have to have multiple places. And so that's what I'm trying to do right now, is to gather a place, start somewhere, get some data, get some information, and then figure out, you know, how do we make this better.
Would Jason McBride and his people and Aurora Mental Health be involved in this?
Everybody, so once we figure out a location, so all the people that want to be a part of that, you know, they'll shoot out an RFP, and we'll look at how many people we'll be looking at to utilize the space, and then we'll figure out from there how many, you know, we can fit, and then from there they'll all, you know, vie for a spot. And, you know, everybody will be able to, you know, if they can get in, they'll get in.
And then the last little thing, there's been all this talk about having junior council and, you know, having the kids come and ask questions and stuff. Would that maybe be a possibility of including that in with your program?
There's a couple things. I mean, we already have a youth commission, if you're not aware of, so, and I ran that when I was here at the city too. So we're looking at a couple things there. We're going to start to do, again, we're trying to experiment with some things to get some of our older teens off the streets and doing some things positive. So we're going to do a thing in July 22nd. We're going to do a kind of I call it a teen scene. So we're going to utilize Moorhead Rec Center, and we're going to have it open up for teens and things like that. We'll have some activities and some food and some things like that, just to kind of spin something off and just see what we get reaction, right? I've done enough of these, and I've done them in North Aurora quite a bit when I was at Moorhead. And so I want to make sure that we get this information, get the data out, so we can kind of see what kids are wanting. So then, if that works really well, then I'd like to see us, you know, do it at Central, you know, do it at some of the other rec centers, so that we can start to, you know, utilize these spaces. Because most of the time they're not utilized after 10 o'clock. So we're trying to get people, nonprofits and volunteers to come and, you know, assist with that, but also have some of the myself. I'm going to be there at this one as well, just because I have experience working with that age group. And so there's a lot of things that are coming, I think. You know, those things certainly we want to bring some time for youth, because like last night you had a 15-year-old there that was talking. You know, we're always open for people to come to council to speak. You obviously, but we'd like to kind of dedicate some time, just so if it's youth-oriented, they can kind of speak and have their own topics and issues and concerns. So, but they also have the opportunity through the youth commission, I think, as well, and that's kind of where I'm trying to steer people through. So yeah, to answer your question, that's kind of where I'm going.
So what's the status of Expo? Is that still on closure, or are they changing it, or?
Yeah, the last I heard is because they moved all the gaming system out of there, they put that at Central. The last I heard is they're looking to potentially make it a pocket library. But I don't know if that's.
Like another branch.
Yeah, just a small, like, little satellite,
Yeah,
nothing,
but
it's not a big space.
They closed the Chambers and Colfax one, and the private and
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, the one at Colfax and Chambers, as small as it was, there was community there.
Yeah, I don't know the decision on why they, shut those down, but I just know that that's potentially what could happen.
Well, your whole purpose of this is to get people off the streets, get them out of crime, get the kids with stop running around with guns. There are some kids in Aurora that think that it's vital, important that they have a gun on them at all times.
Well, a lot of that, having talked to you, like that, it's just that it's just not like, like back in the day, it's like, it's not about, fighting each other, with fists. It's now gotten to a point of, there's no negotiation, right? There's no talking, there's no, any mutual ground, there's nothing like that anymore. It's just resorting to, the first thing, which is violence, and it's usually, violence with a weapon of some sort, so.
The judgment is not so much shooting.
Yeah, well, that's the other piece, you talk to kids that brains are not totally developed, and it's just reactionary, and I think there's a lot of factors, I mean, there's a lot of economic, it's a deeper thing than I think most people think.
Because that stuff is really scary, you don't know what's gonna happen, there's that one instance, I don't know what state it is, but that one instance, when there was that track meet,
Yeah.
and it rained,
Once
and they were
that-
both in the
Yeah.
thing, and for, who knows why someone brings a knife to a track meet, but anyways, and I guess today they found him guilty, and, his whole life is ruined, but it's just one simple incident, you don't know what, you're still heightened, and it just.
Well,
The whole like our generation when we're growing up is different.
Right.
We were raised differently.
Every generation has been
Yeah,
different.
right. It's like,
And-
I was driving the other day, I'm like, oh man, I wish I was young again. I'm like, wait, no, I don't.
Well, I think you got a generation that's totally different. 'Cause
Yeah, that's what I'm
there's
saying.
access to more information, and we all know that, on the internet, there's a lot of nefarious places you can navigate through it. Most of us, older like myself, I couldn't even begin to probably navigate half the things that you can navigate. And that's why I'm trying to push, schools as well to be places, I think, for kids to congregate after hours. Because I'm a firm believer in not just having them there just because of sports, but they also need to open up their libraries and their common places for kids to study. Because a lot of times kids don't, they're going home to an environment that's not conducive to that, to learning. And because it's of a variety of things there, and so, school is kind of the only safe place they have, and I think, if we can extend those hours to keep, libraries open, the common areas, so they can, congregate and chit chat. I think those are things that I see from having, coached and been around enough youth. I've had conversations with them, with schools about, I would like to see them have conversations, have a space in the school to have conversations about whatever they want to talk about. Whether it's drugs, whether it's sex, whether it's all these things that we all look at as adults as like, oh, oh. But I always tell everybody when they tell me that, like, oh, well, what if they say something, they get themselves, they don't know. I said, do you think that they're not doing that already?
Okay.
Are we not that smart to think that they don't do that?
Information.
Well, the other piece is they're already doing this on websites. They go to websites that you don't have access to and they chat about it there.
So years ago, there was a history teacher, civics class in Littleton. And the guy would always invite the political parties to come and talk and to open it up. And I thought, oh, I can't ever do that, but I did. And and I did it twice. And it was amazing. For some reason, these kids just opened up, and I finally had to say to them, I'm not here to give you sex education. You need to Mom, you know, it was, they didn't know me, but because they didn't know me, and they felt comfortable, everything was, I mean, from A to Z, abortion.
Well, we gotta stop thinking that
drugs,
kids don't get access. If they're curious, especially now in this day of technology, you know, a phone, which most all of them have, you know, that they're not getting it. The problem is, I'd at least like to know if they are in this room, to let them know that there's adults out here. If you have a question, we're here to step in, right? But I think we have to share this place. I look at schools as, it's two different communities in the same place, but they don't talk to each other, right? Because kids don't talk to the adults, and the adults don't talk to the kids in the way that they build them to. There are teachers that are really great that kids stick with. Same with coaches. But each is unique. They're not every single individual there that they like, because not everybody's looking at it from that lens. And that's why I said, I just think that we need to work more as a community to help. And that's why I'm trying to incorporate as many groups, whether it's faith-based, whether it's whoever. Everybody that is in the community should be part of kids' lives, because we all have something to contribute to them.
And a lot of the kids nowadays, a lot of the parents are working like, they're going from one job to the other. So there's a lot of kids that are like 9 years old, or they're home.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of that.
So Ruben?
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you the question like I asked last night, which I brought up 511 days until the next people take the seat. You have exactly 1,140 days in this term.
And then I can retire.
What do you, no,
I'll be like, yes. Thank you for giving me a number.
What do you need from us as a community? What do you want to achieve in the next?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm trying to achieve. What I want to try to achieve is what I've always said, is like, this youth empowerment center has been, I think, for the first one, it got stalled because of some semantics there with council. So if I'd been able to push it now, that will happen. The next piece I'm looking at is, I'm working on some projects around mental health, because I think our mental health system is broken in a way that it's not helping our people, you know, to get the services, or if it's cost or whatever it is. I think it's broken in so many places, and we're relying on other sources to intervene, and a lot of times those agencies or groups are not equipped with the tools to be able to handle those things. And I think those are things that I'm really looking at right now, is to try to figure out how do we work on this mental health piece to create the stigma, number one, because I think there's still stigma around it, especially with males. So, you know, things like that, I want to make sure that we bring those to light and bring those, you know, there. I'm working on economic, you know, like I said, I'm trying to bring some kind of team here. I'm also looking at potentially, can we build a library, not a library, but a museum and a cultural arts place. So I'm looking at all those. Certainly I would like to put it in my ward, but I'm not stingy enough to say I couldn't put it somewhere else if I got the right people. But again, I'm going after money that's not city. I'm a firm believer that, you know, city does what it does, but it's not an expert in how to run a stadium. It's not an expert on how to run, you know, this or that. And I think we need those experts in place. So I'm having conversations with people, not just locally, but outside of the state, with places that do have money. That I have connections to. And so I'm trying to have those conversations to see if they would invest their money in our city to help, you know, build some of that infrastructure, so that we're not, you know, handling the burden of the upfront money to build it, to do those things. So that way it creates an economic engine, but also it creates an opportunity for them as well. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at right now, is I'm pushing those really hard right now. Like I said, I had some conversations from some people around women's sports is really getting big across the country, and actually around the world. It's starting to expand. So I've had some conversations with some guys that coaches out of Canada. He coaches a women's rugby team, so I know him. And so I had some conversations with him. He flew out here to talk to me, and I met with another financial guy. So we're looking at, we've drawn up some drawings and renderings of what it could be. We're looking at 15,000 seats, so it's not huge, but I want it to be also a community event. I want it to be multi-used. Because I don't want it to just be a one thing that only generates revenue when that sport is on. I would like to see it so that, you know, if it's rugby field, it can be converted to a variety of things. It can be lacrosse, it can be soccer. So maybe we could have championships there for local, for high school. You know, we could have the championships in that stadium. I'm looking at our graduations. Our graduations are all sent to DU, right? So we're sending all our people, our money to that area and not here. So if we had a stadium that we could do it, well then all those people that come from out of town to see their nieces and nephews or whatever, now can spend their money in our city, eat at our restaurants, shop at our shops, stay in our hotels. So that's why I'm looking at it. Also, you can bring concerts, not huge, but you can bring small concerts there, right? You can have, you know, platforms where you can bring some cultural events to those places too.
Are
So
you a
that's-
Swiftie?
Huh?
Are you a Swiftie?
Now
No,
this is Ruben.
he's an Ariana Grande son.
I'm not dead on it or anything, so. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I'm trying to look at something because right now, what I've seen, I've lived here for 36 years. And I've seen the sprawl and I've seen the things that have happened, but what I didn't notice is that we're not a destination. Why would you come to Aurora? I mean, really, what's the attraction? There's nothing to make you, there's not an avenue for you to go enjoy yourself other than maybe a movie.
Yeah.
But if you want a concert, you have to go to Denver. If you want, you know, a sporting event, you have to go to Denver. If you want, it's always that direction, but it's never this direction.
Here,
And that's why I'm trying to bring some of that attraction here so that it doesn't have to be huge. It can be small enough that we can, you know, have it in here and fill it, be able to fill it.
I got a few things. I noticed that we have a growing thing of cricket now in Aurora. We have a cricket thing in Del Mar. That's pretty cool, and that's an English thing. I see there's more cricket playing.
That I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. They got a cricket thing in the middle. There's more teams playing, which is an English thing. And then the second thing
Sorry,
is
cricket sport.
yeah, cricket. Yeah, but it's pretty cool. It's English, but
Yeah, I
I
see
see
the
more
Mar
teams.
Del Mar.
Yeah.
Mark.
And then CC's is coming back.
Is it?
It's opening on next Monday.
Or at?
The same spot.
Oh,
Really?
Even though
Yes.
it's new space, it's the same space.
Yes.
On Mississippi.
So,
That's on
I
Mississippi.
did, so on building that, just don't do what Bloomfield did with their event center.
Oh, yeah.
Where they built it and they brought, supposedly bring in all this stuff and now it's demolished.
No,
I just-
I take a lot of time to research, and that's why I bring in as many people from, and most of them are not city. I presented a thing, you know, last year, just to kind of give them a preliminary idea of what I'm doing. Because again, what I'm trying to do is attract other people's money. So that they're invested, so if the investment goes bad, it's on them, it's not on us. We're not hung up with this place that
Could
can't
we
be-
take a look at 15600 East Alameda, where Millie's is, and look at that as a possible leasing that out and trying it as an event center, but also a youth drop-in center, and see for a year if we can get some help from the Waltons, the Broncos, the Cronkies, something like that, to utilize that space and give it a test run? 'Cause
Well, that's
I mean,
what I'm saying.
that
I can
seems
look
like-
at like
That
right
seems
now,
like
see.
600 to 1,000 people.
Well, yeah, everything, I mean, we can still look at stuff. I'll see where we're at with that.
But, you know, in listening to the community, a major issue has been transportation.
Yep.
And if you can't get, you know, if you're talking about youth, they don't, well, they get free rides on
That's
RTD.
2 blocks away from the light rail.
But, you know, even if you, like Moorhead, that's not accessible for a lot of people.
Yeah,
So,
Well, youth are tough, that's why I said about, there can't be one spot. It's gotta be multiple.
plus, you know, it's not just youth, the community as a whole needs space.
Peace be with you all.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Be with you.
All right. You have questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
I'll see you Saturday.
Are police officers allowed to retire if they're charged with a crime and being under an investigation? Because that sergeant that was charged recently with, I think, some type of I think it was child sex exploitation images. I looked on the Post website and he was allowed to retire while under investigation. So I don't know if his federal charges were like if he's found guilty or not guilty, but it said retired while under investigation on the post
Do you know
website.
what date that was, or what?
I could look it up, but I mean, it's publicly available.
You
I
can
mean,
send
I
me
can send
the
it to you. I can send you
details,
the-
I can
yeah.
look into that.
So I don't know what your Aurora policy is, like,
That's why I said I'll have to look.
you gotta look it up.
I don't
Okay.
know the specifics of.
So again, what do you need from us to help you?
Well, I'll tell you the same thing I tell everybody. You know, what I'm trying to do is kind of very similar to what you've been trying to do with your PACMO thing about getting people to come together to talk, you know, in a positive manner, right? I think the biggest thing that I see, which is kind of what you're trying to address, is that we've lost a sense of community as people, right? We've let these divides that have always been there. The political divide seems to be the one that everybody is kind of on right now, and it's not a safe track to be on. And I've always been on the adage of, you know, I'm not here to indoctrinate anybody or tell anybody this way, that you're right, I'm wrong. And, you know, we can agree to disagree, because it should be that way. You know, we should have other opinions, we should respect other perspectives, because everybody has their own shared experiences in life, and anybody can change, right? Anybody can adapt or change things. But I just think that how we present it with each other is that we create a divide, to me, on purpose, to make ourselves divide even further. And I want to make sure that we're not doing that. I try intentionally, very intentionally not to do that, is because I'm not here to try to say they're wrong and I'm right, or, you know, it's not about that. It's us working together as people, because at the end of the day, we all either suffer or we all gain from it. And so I would like to see us do some community engagement things, and one of the things I'm looking at is with council in particular. I don't think that enough people know the council members unless you're in those wards a lot of times, because they're not seen a lot of places. My thing is to have potentially some, maybe quarterly or twice a year, to have all council members present, and maybe the room at the Aurora Library, the Central Library, and, you know, have what I call tables, or groups of community can go to each council member and just ask them whatever they want to ask them. And then just
Speed dating tables.
what?
Speed
That would
dating.
be nice.
So they can ask and start to kind of understand people, and they can understand other people, I think, as well. Because I think that's what it is. I just think that it's we have a lot more in common than we do not. And I just think that we dig into places that we know better, I think, and I just don't like going there, just because that's just not my nature. I do community engagement as a consultant. I do it nationally and internationally, so I do travel around the world, and doing these things all over. And I've been in states all over the place, from Texas to Oklahoma to California to Florida. I've been to most of the states in the United States, and I do these in communities all the time. And those are the things that I find always the same problem. What's happening here is happening someplace else. It's not unique to us. If you think it's unique here, it's not. The things that you're seeing on council are the same things here as it is someplace else. I can tell you that's
I
happening.
think we're getting better.
You know, it happens because we stopped listening to each other, and we stopped having, you know, that respect for each other. Community used to take care of each other. At least from my vantage point, growing up in a very small rural town, you know, everybody had their quirks, everybody had their things, but I could tell you for a fact that, you know, if I needed help or my family needed help, the people that people would least likely think of were the people that would come first.
Yeah.
You know, because the relationships were built on us as people first, not all these other things that we do, right? And that's how I've always kind of taken things in that context, because otherwise, if we're all gonna have to have the same thinking, we might as well just make everybody robots and put a chip in everybody's head, and then everybody thinks the same and does the same. And I'm not of that adage. I always feel like anybody can change, anybody can hear a perspective, and maybe it changes my perspective. It's great. But that's what we should be striving for, is to listen to each other more and have these conversations, because that's the only way we're gonna know each other, right?
I'd like to throw out a challenge to all you guys. What he's talking about is, for 4 weeks now, I've been talking about PACMO.
Yeah.
And I've been asking people to ask me about PACMO. PACMO is Positive Aurora Community Movement. And I'd like to challenge you guys to show up on Saturday for Aurora Fest. I'm making 20 t-shirts. I don't know how I'm gonna pay for them, but I'll get them. And I'd like you guys to put the shirt on, walk around, it says, ask me about PACMO. You tell them it's positive, it says positive Aurora community. Tell me what you love about Aurora. Tell me why you live in Aurora, what you love about Aurora, what is it that keeps you in Aurora. On the back it says STAR, it has Save the Aurora Reservoir. So if you would help me on Saturday, because I asked the mayor
What
last
time?
night if he would help me. I think Aurora Fest is from 2 to 6.
3
We were paying like.
3 to 10.
3 to 10. So it's an all-day event, and I'd love you to be a representative of Ward 3 and help me out.
Where's it at?
At the Great Lawn,
Great Lawn.
there in front of the AMC, the Great Lawn.
3 to 10?
3 to 10. And we'll have a table there for council, because we try to figure out how to get council more to see you guys. I see it.
Yeah, because the mayor said he would never work with.
But council's gonna do some
Ever again,
shifts.
he said he's done.
Council members are gonna do some shifts so that you can go talk to them and see them. And again, this is the one way that we figured, where's a place that we can all be at so that community can come talk, even if we're not from your ward, but just to kind of meet us at a personal level. And so again, these are some things that I'm trying to get done so that we can kind
I
of,
could be there, but I'll have to
You,
be late.
you do,
'cause I
you do
volunteer.
ward meetings once a month,
I
and the other
volunteer.
counselors, they don't do it once a month, they do it like once every 2 months or 3 months.
that's on them. I have no control over.
There's no rule that they should.
No, there's no rule.
There's no rule.
Yeah, some of them could never done.
Okay, she got the question too.
The
but-
thing
I don't
is,
care.
Okay.
we're in a drought, fireworks are gonna be in a
Yeah,
month.
that's already been addressed 100 times.
So
Can't
are,
help.
I'm lucky.
no,
Oh, well, I am.
no, so is there something coming?
I'm gonna.
Are we waiting for the big storm
Let's
about,
Okay.
for the
And
fireworks?
let's like write it down, like where there's some of the most.
People are gonna
famous
start
things
shooting
people
off
say about
fireworks,
why they
are
love
they
Aurora.
gonna ban the fireworks totally?
Gotta do a rain dance.
So, right now,
That's not much.
right now, the city has always had
It's all that counts.
an ordinance, there is a rule that you cannot, anything that leaves the ground, which means flies
Oh,
up in the
yeah.
air, is already illegal.
Aren't they having a drone thing at
On
Aurora Fest?